So a while back, like close to 5 years ago at this point, I tackled a Vogue pattern for my first time using a Vogue pattern, and they are notoriously hard to use. And at that point, I had been sewing seriously again for a while, been sewing since I was a kid, but I'd gotten back into it pretty seriously for only like maybe a few months. And so at the time, this pattern was incredibly intimidating to me. So the first time I did it, it ended up looking pretty bad because I didn't do a lot of the details because I was just too overwhelmed and scared to try. So this is my attempt at giving myself a second chance on that pattern to actually execute it correctly. This time around was a lot better. It had been a few years since I had attempted the first time. So you'll also notice in this video that I filmed this back at my old apartment. I have since moved, so if things look a little bit different, that is why, but enjoy. The first time I made this pattern, I used a blue satin, and this time around I wanted to use this blue velvet that I had, which I got on sale at Joann's, and I love making stuff out of velvet, but I do have problems with velvet shifting on me when I'm sewing. If any of y'all have any sort of tips or tricks, I would love to know in the comments. After the base of the dress was put together, it was time to work on the bow detail, and this did require a good bit of hand sewing to attach the interfacing to it. Definitely take your time. You want those stitches to be as invisible as possible. I was very lucky that I was using velvet so I could hide them pretty easily, but if you're using a more delicate fabric, just take your time and go very slow so that those stitches are invisible. And once everything was sewn, we got to one of my favorite steps, which is pressing. I used to hate pressing, but now I absolutely love it because it makes such a huge difference in your finished product. If you do not like to press, trust me, it's such a game changer. It's gonna make a huge difference in your end product. I used to get to the end of things and not love the way that they looked, but pressing really does make such a huge difference. Okay, I've been sewing along here, so I want to check in and let y'all know where I'm at. So I finished putting the top onto the skirt of the dress. I didn't film it, sorry, this was so stressful. I just wanted to focus on getting it right, and so sorry, I didn't film it. One thing I want to tell you, if you're going to try to use this pattern, which Vogue is known for being really over-the-top complex, their instructions don't make a whole lot of sense, so I made the mistake for you so you won't have to make it later. When you're putting in the stiffener, there's like a stiffener that you put inside the bow. It tells you to sew around every part of that weird shaped netting piece, but if you do that, you will end up with a seam right across the front of the bow. So don't do that, and I'm so sorry. I wish I could tell you which side it was, but these bows honestly don't make a whole lot of sense to me. I can't believe I even figured them out to begin with. But if you see here, I don't know if you'll be able to tell, this is the one that I had sewn through. I've removed the stitch already. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but there's like a very faint line where that used to be and I removed it. And then this is the one that is correct. And then don't worry, this is gonna go over once everything's finished, but that's the top on the dress. Next step was to work on the foundation, which is essentially like a bustier or a corset that goes into the inside of the dress to provide stability, make sure the fit is really good. And since this does have a halter, but it's essentially strapless, sort of, it provides enough structure so you don't have to worry about it falling down. This uses all the same pattern pieces as the bodice itself, it's just with a different material, and it gets sewn in just like the lining would be. Whenever I'm sewing darts, I start by using the pattern piece as my little template, and I use a disappearing ink pen to mark the dots that tell you where the dart is going to go. And then I use a pin and I put it through the 2 dots that make the thicker end of the dart to align them up perfectly. Once I have that pin in, I then fold it to align with the other dot, which is going to be the end of your dart. And then when I'm sewing, I start from the thicker end of the dart down to the tip. And when I finish, I pull out a string of threads that I can then take that tail and sew a knot, and that just stabilizes the end of the dart, make sure it never comes out. All right, so the foundation after some sewing is complete, and I wanted to show this to y'all before I put it into the dress. So this is the foundation. It's just kind of like a corset, and I can't get it on by myself or I would show y'all, but it does fit really, really well. It's very snug, which is exactly what I wanted. So looking great. I'm gonna go ahead and put this into the dress, and then we'll talk about the hem. I had to get creative because I'm hemming this, but I can't like be wearing it while I'm hemming it. So I have an idea. I'm going to show y'all what I'm doing, but that will be the next and final step of this. Well, not the dress itself will be finished, but I have other things I want to do to it. So we'll kind of talk about that too. But let me go ahead and get this sewn in, and then we'll talk about the hem. Sewing in the foundation was probably the most stressful part of this entire project, just because there's so many layers, so many things you have to make sure stay nice and flat underneath there as you're sewing. So my biggest tip is just go very slow, take your time. There's no need to rush this because this is going to kind of make or break how the top of the dress looks. Hello, I have the dress on, as you can see, and I can't get all of it in the frame, so I'm going to try and explain to you what's going on. So I have everything finished. The back is not zipped. I cannot get this zipped by myself because it's too tight, so it's not fitting exactly the way I want in the front because it's not fastened in the back. I don't know if you can see the hem. I don't think you can. Anyway, this has the petticoat underneath it, and I already have the shoes on that I'm planning to wear. And let me pan down real quick just so you can see the hem. I'm not going to have to take really anything off. Hold on one second. Okay, so with the petticoat and the shoes, basically the dress is the exact correct length. So what I'm going to do is, I thought I was going to have to like get my mannequin out and like really take a lot off, but because this lifts it so much, it's basically the exact right length. So I'm going to take maybe as close as I can to the edge, because this is honestly such a good length as it is right now. So I'll probably do like 1/4 to 1/2 inch, just folding that over. And I am going to add horsehair trim to the hem. I was going to take in these back seams right here just to make it a little bit more snug under the booty. But if I do that, I can't get the dress on and off the way I want to. So I'm going to leave it alone. But yeah, that's what we're doing. It's looking really, really good. And after I finish the hem, what I'm gonna do is, even though the dress is very gorgeous and beautiful, as it is right now, I'm also gonna be stoning it. So I'm gonna stone, let's see. I'm getting clear stones, and I'm gonna do, I got 3 different sizes. I'm gonna do them heavy on the hem and then kind of going up and like lightening as they go up. So it'll be heavily encrusted on the bottom, a little bit lighter coming up. I'm also gonna do stones on the bow. Show you. I'm gonna do stones here again, closer here and then thinning out. So closer here and then thinning out. And I'll probably put stones on the straps as well. And I'm also, you know what, hold on, let me move this camera and I'll finish telling you my plan. So that's my plan for the actual dress itself. Stones on the bottom, stones on the bow, stones on the straps. And then I'm also going to be making a hat. So I have some hat bases coming. Never done anything with hats before. Got a wild hair to try it, so we're going to give it a shot. I also ordered some opera length white gloves. I'm also going to stone those as well. So that's where we're at. I'm going to go ahead and hem this, and then we'll move on to the other more fun, more sparkly things. To finish the hem, I measured 1/2 inch away from the bottom of the dress and pinned on the horsehair trim. Once all the horsehair was attached, I then went through again and folded over the edge of the dress and pinned that to the horsehair. And then I went through and hand stitched the horsehair, trying to be as invisible as possible. Again, I was very lucky that this was velvet, so it was very easy to hide those stitches. So you'll want it to be as invisible as possible. And then I went through one last time and I sewed the actual hem of the dress to the horsehair. This was very, very effective, very time consuming, but it was a beautiful finish. Okay, it's been a couple days. The hem is done on the dress, so the dress itself is completely finished, but I was waiting for some things to come into the mail. So now we've got our hat base, which I ordered this in white and in a blue that I thought would match the dress, but the white is just, I think the white is the winner. It just needs another contrasting color, especially because the gloves are gonna be white. So these are the gloves I have. I wish they were matte instead of shiny, but I ordered more than one pair of these and I'm not gonna order a third. So these are the gloves, just a basic stretchy white satin. Again, I'm gonna do heavy stoning at the top and getting less as it goes down. So just have a little bit of sparkle at the top. Gonna do stoning on the hat as well. I'm still not 100% sure what I'm doing with this. So it's gonna go on kind of like so. And it's got to have the blue incorporated somehow. So I'm thinking maybe doing, I have a little bit of the fabric left over, making a bow to go on it. So doing a bow, like a thin band around, and then a bow on the actual hat itself, and then doing stones. Again, we got to make everything sparkly and cohesive. So I'm not 100% sure what I'm doing there, but this is the shape that I'm thinking. And I'm super torn. I have naturally brown hair, but I am known to get into the wigs. And so I'm thinking about also doing a wig for this look. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going too crazy, but I just feel like the color of the dress and the color of the accessories and everything, I'm just like seeing blonde hair with it. So I really don't need to spend any more money on this project because it's just for fun. But I'm like, I just want to execute my vision. So we'll see. I'm still decided on that. I could also just make my natural hair work, but I don't know. I'm feeling blonde for the whole look of the dress. So that's where we're at. I'm going to start stoning. Ooh, let me show you the stones because they're really pretty. This is the stones that I got. This is probably like, I don't know, 3 or 4 pounds of stones. And, oh, by the way, it's raining. I don't know if you can hear that in the background, but that's what that is. They look gorgeous. I just love sparkles, y'all. I just love sparkly things. So I'm gonna go ahead and start stoning the dress, and then I'm gonna keep marinating on the hat. And I will let y'all know once I figure out what I'm doing with that, obviously, because I will show y'all what I'm doing. But that's where we're at. So I'll check in with y'all in a bit. When I'm stoning something, I like to use a toothpick and use the toothpick to gather just a little bit of glue and put that very selectively where I want it to be. And I'll do a few dots of glue, then I'll put a few stones on, and then I'll go back and just go back and forth between the glue and the stones. But that just helps me to A, control how much glue I'm putting down, and then B, control the placement a little bit better. Okay, so the dress and the gloves are completely stoned. So now I've tried everything on just really quickly to see how everything was looking, and I do want to make some very, very, very simple bracelets just to break up the glove. With an opera length glove, 9 times out of 10, you do a bracelet with it just to break it up. So I'm going to make something really, really simple out of just this leftover trim that I have. And then I got some clasps that will let me connect several of them together and then clasp it on. So something super, super simple. And then we're going to do the hat as well. So this is the little blank that I have. So this is going to be, I haven't quite figured it out yet, but sort of like this. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm not 100% sure yet, but I'm going to start by doing just a band of the same blue velvet around here and then stoning the edge with the bigger stones around and then fading in with the smaller stones going into the center. And we've got a nice little guide here. We have a good guide with this little tape that's on the inside of the hat. This is going to be my guide for the velvet that I'm going to be using as far as like the thickness. So we've already got that there. So I have never done anything with a hat before, so this is purely an experiment. I don't know if this is going to work or even look good with the outfit, but won't know till we try, so let's give it a shot. To make the bracelets, I cut 5 pieces of trim that were the same length and stacked them on top of each other, and then just put some glue on the back of the very end pieces and put the clasps on, and that was it. Super simple and straightforward. Last but certainly not least, I decided to make some bias tape with some of the fabric that was left over to put around the hat, and I attempted to make a bow, but it was just too thick, so I ended up just kind of overlapping the 2 ends of the ribbon and then adding some stones to that as well. And I also put a little bit of stones around the brim of the hat as well. So that was my second attempt at this pattern. I am very, very happy with how it turned out. The fit was really incredible. One thing I will say is Vogue patterns are very hard to work through because the instructions are not very good. But I will say that their fit is better than any other company that I have ordered from recently. I don't know what's going on with commercial patterns, but anytime I get something from like McCall's or Butterick or whatever, I look at the size chart, pick out the size based on my measurements, and then by the time I make it, it's like 2 sizes too big. I don't know if they're doing that I don't know. I don't understand the reasoning behind that. But anyway, this pattern does fit much, much, much better. It fits pretty much perfect. So very, very happy with it. After having some time to like marinate on this project, I am really, really happy with it. And I think that this was the first project I'd worked on in a while that like really helped me to fall in love with the process. I think with sewing that we get so focused on the finished product that we start to rush through, but we have to fall in love with the process to really make the things to the level that we want to make them. So this was an awesome project. Still haven't gotten a chance to actually wear this dress because again, living in Texas is way too hot, but very happy with it. If you have questions, comments, or concerns, let me know in the comments and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.